This is your Daily 5 for Tuesday, June 9th, 2026. For the second movie in this week's Kaijun movie, not commentary, we're not doing commentary anymore. For the movies we watched this week, the second film was 2016's Colossal, starring Anne Hathaway and Jason Sudeikis, I think is the Ted Lasso guy. And this movie, again, like The Host, we didn't know anything about this movie going in, hadn't seen it, hadn't really heard anything about it. I saw that it appeared to have fairly good reviews. I think it did better with critics than audiences, but still better than, certainly wasn't we've watched movies with far worse reviews, let's put it that way. So I thought, okay, well, I don't know. And it was unclear what kind of movie it was, so I really wasn't sure what we would be getting, but I thought, okay, let's take a chance on this. We watched The Host, hadn't seen that, and, wanted to do another one that we hadn't seen that was just kind of a week where we didn't know what we were getting. And having now watched it, it has elevated my opinion of The Host a bit because Colossal was awful. I don't like doing negative reviews. People should know that at this point, but I'm also not going to lie because we're going to be talking about it on Friday. I'm not going to just not review it I've watched movies I didn't like and I simply chose not to review them. However, that was when I was watching them myself. It's a different thing when we're doing it as part of a series, so I really just can't avoid it. But Colossal was terrible. And it's terrible for a couple of reasons. Now, I'll say in terms of the actual filmmaking, that part was fine. The technical aspects, it certainly didn't look bad. It wasn't filmed poorly. Nothing like you might get in some of our lower budget film reviews. Nothing of that nature. Anne Hathaway is a completely neutral entry for me. I don't care. I don't think she's great. I don't think she's bad. I think she's perfectly capable for some material, not. In this, she seemed fine. No complaints. Jason Sudeikis was utterly miscast. I have no idea what they were thinking. Lando's theory, and we'll talk about it on Friday, is that he wanted to do this to try to give himself some range. Well, he doesn't have that range because his attempts at playing a serious character really reminded me of a side character he played on the television series 30 Rock, which was played for comedy, but in this it's played serious, and it does not work. And probably worst of all, the thing that really dooms it for me particularly, and we'll see what Lando thinks when we talk to him on Friday, is this thing is not a monster movie. Not really. This movie is a metaphor film. And look, I'm the guy who constantly champions Stalker. I have no problem with metaphorical film. I talk about David Lynch films. I've talked about a number of movies that are clearly not about what they're about on the surface, or at least have another dimension to them. So I have no issue with a movie using one type of storytelling to actually talk about something else. But there are also expectations you set up for the audience. And a bait and switch for a monster movie is probably not one you really want to do, at least not in the way that this appears. And also, the metaphor is silly. To use giant monsters as a way of working out deeper themes, and I won't get any further into it, we'll talk about it on Friday, I don't want to spoil it for anybody, but the way this is used is very, very incorrectly, because it's both way too obvious, over the top, and hitting you on the head with a hammer, and also just dumb, which I will admit is a interesting trick for a movie to pull off. I'll give them that credit. They really managed to take a swing that was both really inappropriate for the material and goofier than you could possibly imagine for the material. That's not easy. So I'll say that for it. But yeah, we didn't even really finish it. We'll talk about what we did on Friday. We watched, I'd say 80% of it, and then we jumped to the end of it for a very specific reason. And we both, and Lando and I often have some differing opinions, but we were in the exact same place on this one where we were like, nope, this does not work. And as I said, it made me reevaluate The Host a bit, because I'll say this, The Host, while I had my problems with it, they were not problems like this. In comparison to this, The Host becomes a masterpiece. It's not still not a movie I'd go back to necessarily, but I certainly have a different appreciation for it now. But Colossal from 2016, I'm just going to tell you, some people might like it. Maybe it works for some folks, that's fine. But for Lando and I, oh boy, this one was a true stinker. Later.